So, how do we do it? How do you heal? How does one heal? A good metaphor for the process is getting a massage. Is thinking about, it's getting a massage. So, you go to a massage therapist and you have tensions, contractions, knots in your muscles, in the tissue of your body. The massage therapist will work to, they want to work to, you could say, heal or help to release those tensions, those contractions. That is really what you're doing on the healing journey. It's like your consciousness, in a sense, has formed a bunch of knots, a bunch of nodes within it. And that, again, is the shadow material. That's all the stuff that's been pushed to the periphery. And so the healing process really is the process of releasing those knots, dissolving them. So another useful map to help think about this is that there is, who you are is multi-layered. Just like there's multiple layers of creation, you as an individual being have multiple layers, and those two aren't really separate. I mean, you are ultimately creation, but within your individual experience, you could say that starting at the most superficial level, which would be, and also the most concrete, least abstract, most differentiated level, is the physical world of objects, the seeming apparent physical world of objects that's apprehendable to your senses. So this, what is this, clementine, mandarin, cutie, these objects in around us, our body, that which you can see, hear, taste, touch. What am I missing? Taste. That's sort of the uppermost level. Now there is a sort of inner correspondence, moving down a level, becoming a slightly less, becoming slightly more abstract, slightly less concrete, a little bit more formless. The inner, so you enter into the so-called inner world. That distinction, external, internal, collapses eventually, but just to kind of lay it out in a practical way, you've got the internal world, and the sort of uppermost level of that is your thoughts and memories, kind of the discursive chaos that you've got going on, and images. And those are sort of, I've been saying it, thinking of it as correlates of the outer world. So thoughts are like a, and is this, maybe I got this from Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. Is this his idea? Maybe an old Indian idea, I don't know. Inner world of, so your thoughts are sort of a subtler form of speech, subtler form of, even of hearing, that you've got these thoughts going on. You're not exactly, they're not audible in the same way that my voice is audible, the external sounds. But there's sort of a correlate, an inner correlate. Slightly, again, it gets a little bit more subtle, a little bit less rigid and defined. But you've got thoughts, you've got images, which are sort of the inner correlate to the outer sense of seeing, because there is a kind of seeing that happens on the screen of consciousness. Put a flag here. I wanted. There's some interesting inquiries around all of this, but so kind of the upmost, most superficial layer of the inner world is thoughts, images, memories. That's 99.99% of everybody's life, hanging out in these two realms. That is the vast majority of where we as human beings reside. That's where our consciousness tends to stay for most of our lives. Beneath that, but there is more beneath that. So a step down from that, you could say, are feelings and emotions. And all these layers sort of interpenetrate and shade into each other, but just to draw some distinctions, that it becomes less, again, it's like moving into more abstraction. As you move down and you shed labels and you shed form, it starts to become more, you're moving more into like a soup, an energetic soup. I think I just had an image of the idea of the ocean. On the upmost layer, you've got all this movement, commotion, waves, and different currents as you move down, different flows until you get to the depths. And it's somewhat similar. So, but as you move down, it starts to become more of a language of energy and vibration and frequency. And so, yeah, each step down, so out of thoughts and images into emotions and feelings, and you can investigate these things in real time, in reality, in experience, and ask and discover, and go to it directly and figure out, what is the experience of an emotion? But it starts to become more of, at the level of feeling and emotion, it's more primary. And it's more energy. It's something you can talk about in terms of energy. And sort of at that level, there are more levels down. But you've got the external reality, so-called, the apparent external reality, the inner world of ideas, thoughts, discursive thinking, images, memories. Beneath that, emotions, feelings, and kind of as that shades further down, it's just energy. It becomes more and more, it's just kind of a hum, a radiance of energy. The reason why that map is important to have in mind, to understand, is because healing happens at the deeper layers. Just like a tree, the upper layers of the tree, the most external manifest form is the leaves, the branches. You get to the trunk, down into the base, down into the roots. If you want to heal, you need to go towards the more primary levels. That's where the real healing is going to happen. And that's very useful to know, because it's really not about analyzing and pulling apart all the thoughts and rearranging and getting all of that perfectly dealt with. You can just dive straight through those layers eventually. You can just dive straight through it down to the essential energetic layer, and that's where you release from. It's funny, as you're talking, it's like got so many ideas and side notes and sidebars. I want to like, yeah, I guess that's the skill in trying to share something, is distilling down into something more or less coherent. Is this coherent? I hope it is, but taking all the, even while I'm talking, it's like my mind's bringing in, oh, you got to talk about this, you got to talk, there's just so many different future videos, I suppose, future. But those, yeah, just to keep it simple. So that's the map, is from gross to more subtle, from form to formlessness, from concrete to abstract. And a key term in all of this is feeling tone. You are looking for the feeling tone. That's the best term I've found to describe. That's where the gold is the feeling tone. And the feeling tone is beneath all of this. So how this works, just to make it a little bit more practical, is you've got, as you go along, wanting to heal and wanting to clear out, evacuate. I was just listening to Thomas Keating talking about this process. He uses the term evacuate. As these energies start to evacuate from within you, all this repressed material, they usually sort of bubble up in sort of a discrete, well, it may not feel very discrete, but in sort of a package. It'll let's say a memory or an experience from when you're young will bubble up out of the unconscious, will come into the light of awareness, and it will come, it may come sort of in a linear fashion, presenting those layers I just described, that you have sort of the discursive, so say it's a memory from when you're really young. There may be a story attached with it, the thoughts, why did they do this? Why did I do that? This was painful, this was awful, I was so lonely, there may be, a bundle of thoughts, sort of the story, the narrative. Likely will have images that come up of maybe the time and the place and the setting and the people, and so there may be thoughts and images, there likely will be, and also the feeling and the emotions are going to come up connected with it. And it may be linear in sort of the way I'm presenting it, but likely it's just going to come up as a jumbled mess of a bunch of different things. And that may be disorienting. It's like, what do I do with that? That you don't want to, it may be overwhelming, may just be disorienting. And so that's where this map becomes very useful as an anchor, as a way to orient within that chaos or within that experience, is because the important thing for healing is the feeling tone. So you have a memory that comes up, penetrating, permeating, underlying, surrounding, coloring. There's within that experience, that surfaced memory, there is a feeling tone. And an energetic signature, you could say. Sort of an overarching hue, an emotional or an energetic coloring to that experience. It's not a neutral experience, obviously. It's coming up because it's been buried because it was something difficult. So when it comes up And there may be different layers of that, but there's typically kind of one overriding tone to it. And so the work of healing is simply to contact that feeling tone, and eventually you just go there directly. You learn how to sync with your awareness directly into that feeling tone, to weave back into what I started out with at the beginning. The massage therapist, it's like you've got these knots in consciousness, just like the knots on your body. And the massage therapist will work skillfully, which is key, and gently, which is also key in this analogy. But the massage therapist will kind of work the periphery, maybe, of that tone of that knot. And the periphery, you start to get a little bit where it starts to get a little bit sore, but eventually they work down towards right into the heart of the knot, right into the center of the knot. I'm gonna change the lighting here. Let me see. I don't know, do I like that better? I'm not sure if that's better. Anyways, so the massage therapist works towards the center of that knot, and just through contact, just through focused pressure, just through touching the painful part of the knot, the center of it, it starts to release, it starts to dissolve. That's what your awareness is. Your awareness is like the fingers of the massage therapist moving into what's painful, and just through contact, it begins to dissolve. And that simplifies the process enormously, because again, it's not really an analytical process. It's not about unpacking all the thoughts and fortunately, it doesn't operate at that level. If you're able to do this, and you are, you can, I'm trying to dance around saying bypass because of the connotation of that word, but in a sense, you can just move straight into the deeper levels and release from there. And it doesn't take great intelligence, and you don't have to have a sophisticated psychological map or understanding to operate at that level. Just need willingness. It's the direct path to healing. Not that there isn't utility maybe in all the other, in working, I don't even know if I want to say that. Is there utility at working with thoughts? I don't know. You don't want to resist those layers for sure. So you allow them to come up, and you allow them to share. I'm just realizing there's kind of a whole another dimension to all of this that maybe I should have shared first. But let me start another video.